Hi class, in this video blog post I want to talk about how to determine the value of an IP, and I think this is definitely something very interesting and something I really didn't know anything about in the past. And first, this article that I am basing my blog post off of was created by a guy named Weston, and he was a chairman of Consor, which is a leading intellectual asset consulting firm specializing in trademark technology, copyright licensing, and patents, so very relevant to IPs. And for the last 20 years, he actually led the way in developing accepted methods to value brands and technology and IPs. So I think his insight is very valid. And just to start, I'm going to talk a little bit about who actually cares about the valuation of IPs. Like, what do these numbers mean to people, and how can they actually use them? And for just to list off some organizations or people who care about these valuations versus banks. Second, investment bankers, because they have to deal with the mergers and acquisitions of these companies, so valuation is very important to them. Taxing authorities, auditors, and also judges. And moving on to when is valuation necessary, so when can we actually use this information? I think there's a variety of times where this information is very important, and just to list off some times, first is in the sale, merger, or joint ventures of different commercial transactions, so M&As of companies, and a divorce, where like whether it's personal or in a business, which is pretty interesting, and a bankruptcy, and real estate planning, and also in litigation. And there's three basic valuation methodologies that Weston talked about, and I'll go over each of them pretty briefly. So the first one is the cost approach, where this method is really based on historical or future costs. The second is the market approach, where this is really based on comparable transactions. And then the third is the income approach, which is really based on financial benefits. So each of these kind of you focus on one aspect of whether it's like past transactions or future transactions to value the IP. And you can read more about how these methods work on my blog, but I think this was definitely a topic that I really enjoyed reading about and learning about.